length is, but the idea that these cities are somehow fine. Oh, I think you're
I don't think anybody.
whistling.
I mean, listen.
I heard the
take
word manufacturing crisis. This is a manufactured crisis. No, it's not. It is a crisis.
Go ahead, Basil. You're dying to jump.
Oh my God, he is giving it to them. He is calling them out. He's calling them out right to her face. This MSNBC host literally is lying up on the air, and she's getting called out by former governor of Ohio, John Kasich here, and he is legitimately going to call her out for lying, because now the narrative that they're trying to push is that this is a manufactured crisis, that the crime in DC and now the military will be deployed to Chicago. They're now trying to say that this is all manufactured in Chicago, that there's really no crime happening at all in the state of Illinois, especially in the city of Chicago. Governor J.B. Pritzker had a press conference there today with the Trump building right behind them, ironically enough, and also Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago basically saying that this is all manufactured. But here, I want you guys to take a look at how she gets fully corrected on this and humiliated by former governor of Ohio. Take a listen.
Governor, look, you understand very clearly what it means when the National Guard comes into your state, what it means when it comes in to a community. Donald Trump essentially said today that, you know what, not only was he not happy that he wasn't being thanked for this, he suggested that there are people who want a dictator. He says, I'm not a dictator. I'm being accused of being a dictator, but some people may want someone to come in and take control. So I wonder how you see this and what the options are for governors in this case.
Well, I mean, I have to tell you, I have such a different take than what we've just heard. They talk about a manufactured crisis. Have you been in Chicago? Have you been in Baltimore? But my daughter went to school in Chicago. I remember the day she graduated, there were shootings and killings right outside of her building. And in Baltimore, I have friends that go down to...
Oh, you could tell the background. You could tell everybody's uncomfortable here. They were not expecting him to do this. They were not expecting him to go off the rails here, according to them. You could hear it in the background.
Have you been in Chicago? Have you been in Baltimore? But my daughter went to school in Chicago. I remember the day she graduated, there were shootings and killings right outside of her building. And in Baltimore, I have friends that go down to Johns Hopkins, get treated for medical conditions. I mean, they are nervous about ever going there. There are parts of Baltimore that he tells me he wouldn't go into. And this is not some right-wing person. This is somebody who wants to be able to go into some of our great cities and be able to be safe. Now, I do think it's important that if you're going to do this, you've got to define the mission. You've got to talk about your authority. And I think one of the earlier guests was saying that, you know, well, maybe there's narrow ways to do it. I agree with that. But that just then says that there are ways to do it. And if I had a crisis in Cleveland, we thought we were going to have riots, or in Columbus or whatever, I would never have put, you know, the fact that, well, I'm governor, so I would want to work with other people who wanted to help me. And look, what's been happening in Chicago has been terrible. The crime rate is high. The gang problem is real. I tried to get Arnie Duncan, the former education secretary under Obama, to run for mayor. He's out there trying to work to get, you know, to deal with the gang problem. He didn't want to do it. But I think Chicago is a jewel of America. We just cannot let lawlessness and fear dominate these cities. So, yeah, I think we need to know what the mission is. I think we need to know what the authority is. I think we need to know what the length is. But the idea that these cities are somehow fine, oh, I think you're just... I don't think
anybody... I mean, listen,
I heard the word manufacturing crisis. This is a manufactured crisis. No, it's not. It is a crisis.
Go ahead, Basil. You're dying to jump.
Oh my God, he is giving it to them. He is calling them out. He's calling them out right to her face, because that is the propaganda that they're now spreading, as if these things don't exist. I just lost a friend, someone I grew up with. Someone I grew up with just lost their life, in the Bronx just 2 days ago. Someone who was very close to friends of mine who grew up in the same circle. Rest in peace to him. He had a great father. Unfortunately, the gang culture, unfortunately, what's going on in the Bronx, gun violence, unnecessary stuff. This is it's a real problem. It's a real issue. They try to act like this doesn't exist. It's all manufactured. These are a whole bunch of white progressive liberals. Shout out to my white conservatives out there who understand this is a problem, that we got to talk about this. But it's usually them who go out of their way to protest against President Trump all the time. Why? All the time they do this. They take the streets. People that don't even live in the inner cities that don't got to deal with this. And it's crazy about Chicago and New York City is that we already had a gang problem. We already had a drug overdose problem. And then you bring in migrants from all over the place who also have gang culture. That's the problem, is that we never want to get real about these issues. We always want to say that this is all manufactured. It's crazy to me. But here we go, because it gets even worse. Shout out to the ex-governor of Ohio, who literally just shut down that entire panel. They were not happy to hear that from him. But here it is. Here is the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, says throwing criminals in jail is racist, immoral, and unholy, adding, we can't incarcerate our way out of this problem. Take a listen.
As the mayor of this city, I can tell you that Chicagoans are not calling for a military occupation. They are calling for the same thing that we've been calling for some time, and that's investment. What safe cities across America all have in common, they invest in people, and that's what we're doing in Chicago. We need the federal resources to make sure that we're building more affordable housing, expanding mental and behavioral health care, education, all of these things that could reduce crime and provide real community safety. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars for a publicity stunt to invoke chaos and terror, the federal government should spend that money on proven solutions to crime and violence reduction. We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world without solving the problems of crime and violence. The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence.
So here's the problem with you, bro. Here's the problem. We got to talk about this, right? You're like, there's legitimately terrorizing happening. There's like terrorism happening in the streets of Chicago, bro. Like that's the problem. That's my biggest problem here with this this is not a good rebuttal anymore. This is not a good rebuttal. Let's actually go to Jamal Green, who is running for office out there, who has a real good take on this, right? Because black people, even black people, right? Because there's always the racism card that's being played here, even by, again, white and black politicians who are on the liberal side. Let's actually get down to the bottom of this.
All right, I've sat back and I've watched everybody have their statements about violence in Chicago, Donald Trump bringing troops, and I'm going to tell you where I stand. And if you know me, you already know where I stand. But let me first get this out. I am sick and tired of hearing Brandon Johnson and his paid comrades to go around saying violence is low to try to pad his record. It is utter bullshit, and it is a disrespect to our seniors who are being shut up in front of their senior buildings, to our children who are being shot up walking to school. It is a disrespect to all the families that are constantly being shot each and every day. Chicago has a violence problem, and the only reason why violence is down a little bit is because violence went up during COVID. People lost their jobs. COVID had folks in the house, economic insecurity. We know why violence was high during COVID. It was higher in every city around the country. So now that folks are back to work and we are post-COVID, violence have come down a bit. But if you look at right before COVID, where 500 people were killed in 2019 and over 2,000 people were shot, we're right back at those numbers. Almost 300 people have been shot this year, and 300 people have been killed this year, and 1,300 people have been shot. That means that we're on par to go back to numbers where we were before COVID happened. So stop this bullshit rhetoric. Now, what do we do about it? Do we occupy our city with military forces? No, that's not the answer. But we do need federal intervention. We do need task force. We do need Donald Trump to work with our government so that we can deploy as much resources as possible so that we can clean our streets up. But that's going to take for our corrupt politicians to want to work at every level of government. And they don't.
They're not going to, because they unfortunately really do dislike President Trump. Speaking of the government officials that really dislike President Trump, well, here is J.B. Pritzker. J.B. Pritzker, Illinois governor. J.B. Pritzker tells Trump not to come. We don't want your help in a crime-ridden city. Pritzker claims that it's government overreach and military takeover.
To tell the president that his proposed actions will make our jobs harder and the lives of our residents worse. Earlier today in the Oval Office, Donald Trump looked at the assembled cameras and asked for me personally to say, "Mr. President, can you do us the honor of protecting our city?" Instead, I say, "Mr. President, do not come to Chicago." You are neither wanted here nor needed here. Your remarks about this effort over the last several weeks have betrayed a continuing slip in your mental faculties and are not fit for the auspicious office that you occupy.
So again, that is J.B. Pritzker. That is Mayor Brandon Johnson saying that he is not welcoming anybody from Illinois or Chicago. Let me know, are you welcoming this idea? Are you finally happy that the problem will be addressed? Again, Democrat-ran cities for decades and still no progress in stopping the gun violence and stopping the violence, period. But now Trump has put the pressure on them to start talking about addressing the next generation to come, which is my solution to this. We must create more senators. We must elect the right officials to address the problem. That way, we don't create fatherlessness. We don't create lawlessness. We create more families. We create more activities after school, more intellectual activities. But do you guys welcome this for now? I welcome this temporarily. I do in New York City. I really do. Because it's gonna stop the killing. That's isn't that the whole point? Stop the killing temporarily until we figure out what the solutions are. But because you guys have none. You guys have had not any solutions for decades. For decades. But now you go to DC, there hasn't been one homicide in what, 12 days? That's a W. That is a major W, man. It really is. What's your thoughts on this? Is this the right problem? I mean, is this the right solution to the problem? Let me know down in the comments.